Scum and Villainy constitutes both the Star Wars franchise as well as the much-beloved newcomer on the block, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Making their cinematic debut in 2014, the film has become a monster hit, spawning a resurgence in the comic books, an animated show, as well as a video game. As we await the release of Volume 2, we started wondering if the facts we've been told about the Guardians may be wrong, and that there might be some hidden truths lying around. Regardless, let's dive into the host of lies told about the Guardians of the Galaxy. Enjoy this video, and be sure to subscribe to CBR and join the notification squad to stay up to date with all of our latest videos.
Starlord.
Who?
Starlord, man. Legendary outlaw.
Starlord's a star child? Way back in the beginning, Peter was just a twinkle in his dad's eye, who happened to be Jason, a Spartoy emperor. Meredith, Quill, and Jason hooked up, and young Peter was conceived, but Dad wouldn't be around for his son. Jason had to bolt from Earth to wage an intergalactic war to protect the planet and his family. Of course, the info presented in the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy movie depicts Peter's mother dying of cancer, which was a very heavy scene to start in with, perhaps the heaviest of all the Marvel movies to date. Things become stranger as the devastated Peter runs outside and is abducted by Yondu Udonta, the head honcho of the Ravagers. Quill is whisked away to a new life amongst the stars with his new space dad. Well, sort of. The earlier comic book incarnation spent a lot more time on good old green Earth than the movie let on, instead of him jive dancing across a barren and desolate alien planetscape. In the original story, Peter arrived home from school after a scuffle with some bullies when two Badoon aliens appeared with the intent to kill them and end the Spartoy bloodline. They got Meredith, but Peter managed to kill the aliens with a shotgun. That's a really weird turn of events to happen before dinner. Quill, years later, managed to steal a spaceship from NASA and beelines it into the galaxy to find the alien behind his mother's murder. In the movie, Starlord had his mother's Walkman.
Companion, what were you retrieving? You're an imbecile.
It's sweet, but not the same thing at all.
I am Groot!
Groot was a chatty Cathy. It's a great icebreaker at parties, with customs agents, or if you're in an alien corrections center. But when your larynx is made of wood, that's all you can say apparently. When Groot first sprouted up in Tales to Astonish number 13, he was a rampaging chatterbox who could string together an entire sentence like, "Behold, I am Groot the Invincible. Who dares defy me?" Now that's practically Shakespeare in contrast to Vin Diesel's limited but deftly delivered line, "I am Groot," which he apparently had to say over 1,000 times in 6 languages, and the sequel has asked him to deliver it in 16 languages. Talkative Groot was the emperor of Planet X and came down to Earth, sucked up a bunch of hutches and barrels to grow to immense proportions with the intent to capture humans for scientific study. Groot was defeated by the hands, or more so the chompers, of specially bred termites that splintered Groot up into mulch. The upswing of Groot is he's like a rock, and rocks last forever, as there's some talk about this lovable tree monster branching out, with his own solo movie. Seriously though, we're wondering how the studio will get around the established catchphrase in a narrative feature. Will they flower up Groot's dialogue?
We are Groot.
Oh, and Groot is actually a real word in Dutch, Afrikaans, and Flemish, meaning, well, you guessed it, big.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
I'm gonna die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the galaxy.
Drax the Destroyer was a real estate agent and played the saxophone. We all know that Drax's family was slaughtered by Ronan the Accuser in the movie adaptation of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't recall killing your family. I doubt I'll remember killing you either.
Which would explain his raw fury, but maybe Drax should chill out and listen to some cool and soothing jazz. You see, in Captain Marvel number 58, Arthur Douglas, Drax's original Earth name from the earlier version of his character, used to work as a real estate agent and played the sax. Now that's sexy. The hardworking sap, who was originally from Burbank, California, made the fatal mistake of glimpsing Thanos in an ill-fated encounter with the blue supervillain who's finally got his hands on the gauntlet in the MCU. It's fortunate, I guess, that Thanos' dad daddy, Mentor, finally had enough of his son's evil behavior, and the straw that broke the camel's back was Thanos killing Arthur Douglas and his wife in his car. Mentor resurrected him and bestowed a new, powerful clay body to inhabit upon him, and instilled in him the desire to kill Thanos. Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and the newly christened Drax the Destroyer team up and confront Thanos. However, Drax is denied his singular purpose conveyed to him by Mentor because Captain Marvel managed to eliminate Thanos, which makes Drax extremely angry. So furious, in fact, that he attacked Captain Marvel for cheating him of avenging his wife's death. I definitely didn't see Drax lay down some smooth notes or selling any condominiums in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but we don't know what'll happen in the highly anticipated sequel. This could be a really interesting character shift, but let's hope that Drax can carry a tune. Not the original cast of characters. Well, almost. Stuff happens through the passage of time, and 1969 was a long time ago. And if you were a youngin' back then and had read Marvel Superheroes Volume 1, number 18, don't worry, your eyes aren't failing, because the cast on that edition's cover aren't the same to 2014's Marvel Cinematic Universe's release. On the cover, there's not one Starlord, nor a Gamora, or Groot and Rocket Racoon. Although, there's an Earth astronaut named, wait for it, Vance Astro, a crystalline alien by the name of Martinex, Charlie 27, a Terran expat who calls Jupiter home, and, well, looky here, Yondu Udonta, who we know all too well from the Guardians of the Galaxy film. Alright, there's one original character carryover here. Cut us some slack. Oh, and he was blue back then too. 2 strikes. In the 1969 edition, Charlie 27 comes back to Jupiter to find that the inhabitants have been enslaved by those terrible Badoon creatures and makes some desperate calls for backup. Martinex, Vance Astro, and Centaurian Yondu enlist for this very noble cause, and ta-da! The Guardians of the Galaxy were formed. I have to say, I'm happy that they revamped the Guardians' character design since the seminal comic. I wonder what transformations Charlie 27 would have undergone if he had endured and been included in the movie. I'm sure he'd appreciate anything other than that medieval circus hangman getup he used to wear.
You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet.
Iron Man was a Guardian and had a thing with Gamora. Tony Stark's always been a playboy, and this has served him incredibly well here on Earth. But does his swagger work on other worlds? What do you think? Of course it does. This isn't a juicy tidbit that we gleaned from the movie because Iron Man wasn't there. It would have been insane to see his metal suit blazing across skies alongside Starlord and company. Although that treat might be coming up in subsequent movies according to the rumor mill churning away on the web, but the notion of Iron Man blowing crap up with the Guardians isn't unfounded. Tony Stark joined the Guardians of the Galaxy in 2013's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, number 1 to help them lay down a new galactic law. No one messes with Earth. Nobody! Like we alluded to earlier, there's only one Terran who can fool around in space with the fairer, greener gender, and Stark appeared to regret it in Guardians of the Galaxy number 4, 2013. The Guardians and Tony are relaxing in a bar when Gamora suddenly shows interest in the cocky Earthling. Does that bravado work where you're from? And the vibe is transmitted. In the panels that follow, the two are in bed together, and Stark, for some reason, looks kind of injured.
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Gamora excuses herself and leaves. But why was Tony so beaten up? He's been with She-Hulk after all. Does Stark have a thing for the green-skinned ladies?
You will never rule Xander.
No. I will cure it!
Ronan the Accuser isn't as bad as we thought. In the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, we're led to believe that Ronan the Accuser is one bad hombre. On the pages of the comics, he's the supreme accuser of the alien Kree Empire, putting him in the 3rd place command slot of the Kree Empire. Well, la-dee-da. Fancy yourself a bit of a prince, do you, Ronan? If Earth history has taught us anything, it's that the people on high pedestals can be real jerkwads. Ronan isn't any different, having committed some heinous and blood-curdling acts, like his blind hatred for Xandar and every living thing on the surface. Hey, he's just following the law, the Kree law, which says to exterminate them.
You're Guardians of the Galaxy.
He gladly sacrificed his soldiers during an attack on the reviled planet, and even went as far as to betray and threaten Thanos himself, who was in possession of the Infinity Stone. Oh, that precious orb. So, for a character as maligned and as rotten as Ronan, it'd be safe to assume that his galvanized exterior would crack occasionally, and let the heart shine on through. This is probably as rare an event as Halley's Comet, but as recently as 2007, the Accuser offered Starlord a position as his military advisor, and Quill said hell yeah. Maybe his enthusiasm or general clumsiness spoiled the short-lived friendship by accidentally allowing the Phalanx, a Borg-like species, to seize the entire Kree Empire. Whoops, I guess Starlord can forget about that corner office with the great view. A Beatles Connection? Things are going to get a little sing-songy for this entry, and I know Rocket won't spend much time following the bouncing ball over the lyrics because it looks like an irresistible target. But seriously, is it true that Rocky's creation is accredited to a Beatles song? This might be a fact that he would deny up and down. How absurd! Or is it? In the case of a lesser-known Beatles song, we can clearly see the origins of Rocket Raccoon, and we know this because the song's called Rocky Raccoon. Bill Mantlo and Keith Giffen created the vicious rodent in 1976, and he first appeared in a one-off edition of Marvel Preview. But not until the Incredible Hulk number 271 was he given more credence as a substantial MU character. But back to the Beatles' influence on his genesis. In the song Rocky Raccoon, a feisty dude wants to duel a fella who stole his girl. He checks into a hotel in preparation to committing his crime of passion, and the lyrics reference him finding a copy of Gideon's Bible. In the Incredible Hulk number 271, the big green guy and Rocket Raccoon try to stop thieves from stealing said Bible. And the edition's title is Now Somewhere in the Black Holes of Sirius Major, there lived a young boy named Rocket Raccoon, which isn't too far off from the first line of the song, which reads, Now somewhere in the Black Mountain Hills of Dakota, there lived a young boy named Rocky Raccoon. See the pattern that's emerging? If you're at all interested, check out the song Rocky Raccoon. It's freaking hilarious and encapsulated Rocky's personality traits like his overwhelming and reckless anger. To think that Rocket was inspired by a friggin' Beatles song. Ha! It's kinda like life imitating art. Or art imitating art.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
Rocket's Cockney accent. Since Rocket's such a hot MU character right now, let's give him a little more love. In the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Bradley Cooper voiced Rocky with a tough New York City accent, and he did a great job bringing the little stress monster's grit to the screen. But his speech patterns and lilt seem to shift a bit. In various forms of Marvel media, Rocket has barked with a Cockney accent in a Marvel one-off video game, Marvel vs. Capcom, as well as Marvel Heroes, and a Guardians of the Galaxy cameo in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Better look behind you, mate.
In other Marvel cartoon series like Avengers Assemble and various Spider-Man episodes, he doesn't have the accent. The classic, hey, I'm walking here, New York accent doesn't come out of left field. In the Ultimate Spider-Man, Rocket and the rest of the Guardians appear, and Rocket is swinging at the fences with a Cooper-esque accent.
Shoot, go! What's your problem, hairless?
So, what's the deal with his accent? Which one is his truer voice? Bizarrely enough, that Beatles song may provide some clarity on the matter, and folks on online forums think that since the Beatles were British and the song Rocky Raccoon is his birthday song, a Cockney accent is the most fitting. Bloody hell! Awesome Mix Volume 1. Never has a mixtape ever factored in so heavily in a film's plot. For Peter Quill, this tape and the Walkman given to him by his dying mother is a dear souvenir connecting him with her memory and with his home, planet Earth. It's easy to get homesick when you're a billion light years away. The classic 70s songs are the soundtrack of Quill's life, and it's impossible to know why the cassette isn't worn out from constant playing. Details. The cassette is a powerful plot device inciting a strong emotional response to the classic 1970s hits. The two songs that got hips moving were Marvin Gaye's and Tammy Terrell's Ain't No Mountain High Enough and Jackson 5's I Want You Back. They were the core of the movie's spirit, so to speak, and director James Gunn speaks about their significance. It was of songs that she loved, all songs from the 1970s, and that's the only thing he has left of his mother, and that's the only thing he has left of his home on Earth. The only thing is that these two songs are from the 1960s. Okay, maybe we're splitting hairs here, but truth is truth, even if it's a matter of a few years. Maybe the inclusion of these two awesome songs tamper with the integrity of the film's claim that only grade A 70s tunes are an awesome mix one. Thanos loves Christmas. Who doesn't love Christmas Day? Friends and family laughing and gorging on turkey as you drift off on the sofa to the game on TV. It's as predictable as the gift of knitted socks from grandma, but what isn't known is how someone like Thanos could embrace the season's greetings and gleefully decking the halls. I mean, look at him. He's not a standing under the mistletoe kind of guy. More like standing on someone's head, which may start to feel like a hazelnut shortly after. Yeah, he's definitely a nutcracker kind of guy. Could it be that 364 days of wreaking havoc on the universe, obliterating galaxies without an ounce of remorse, and he just needs a break? He's a callous and unforgiving man, but taking a day off from being a frickin' maniac is a therapeutic ritual. He decided to give his adopted daughter Gamora a normal childhood, and since she's the sole survivor of her species, he'd better spoil the heck out of her with presents and cake. After all, he's concerned that she'll become a soulless killer lacking reason without the soft cushion of a happy upbringing. See how sweet Thanos is? So, as the calendar flips through the years like an old-time movie, we can imagine the montage of Gamora's birthdays and Thanos' family Christmas seems normal for 2 days in a year. In addition to this, Thanos somehow brought home Christmas trees every season. In order to dispel this lie, Guardians of the Galaxy have to make a Christmas special. But I think that there's a rumor about this floating around.
What a bunch of a-holes.
Well, no one likes to be lied to, and we sure hope that you're not too disappointed. But don't worry, they didn't mean it. The Guardians may be a dysfunctional lot, but they're good deep down. Though if Rocket reaches for his rifle, you might want to duck behind some cover. So what did you think of our list? Do you know of any other mistruths perpetrated by these MCU stars? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to CBR and join the notification squad to stay up to date on all of our coolest new videos.